The grand assembly chamber of Kepler's rest station resonated with low murmurs of discussion. 12 alien civilizations sat around the immense circular council table dominating the hall. Each delegate was adorned in ceremonial attire and carried emblems representing their homeworlds. The monthly gathering of the Galactic Trade Federation was about to commence. The Zephyrian Collective's ambassador adjusted his crystalline crown and surveyed the gathering. His species were tall and slender, with skin that shifted colors to display emotions. At this moment, a calm blue-green shimmer covered him, a sign of satisfaction. The Zephyrians had stood within the Federation for more than 4 centuries, and such assemblies had become custom. Beside him sat Captain Thexera of the Molten Worlds. Her rugged, volcanic exterior gave her a fierce appearance. Yet her people were known for peace. They harvested rare metals from rivers of magma and sold them across the stars. Her glowing amber eyes studied a tablet as she analyzed current trade manifests. Across the circle, Dr. Keithmos of the Scientific Union drummed her 6-fingered hands against the surface. Her pale gray skin bore delicate, intricate symbols, recording her long record of academic triumphs. She was the Federation's foremost authority on forgotten civilizations and lost relics. Her deep, shadowed eyes carried the brilliance that had unlocked many enigmas of the galaxy. Other delegates included hive-minded insectoid envoys, drifting, gaseous beings from the nebular clouds, and mechanical members of the Construct Alliance. Each culture contributed unique insights, yet they all shared a singular truth. They had advanced past violence and war. The stars had known peace for over 6 centuries. Admiral Zexathera of the Wadian Defense Fleet called the gathering to order. Her species, the Starborn, looked strikingly human save for metallic silver, skin, and jet-black eyes. They were the pioneers of faster-than-light travel and founders of the Federation's peaceful union of trade. "Welcome, fellow delegates," Admiral Zexathera announced in the shared galactic tongue. "Today, we address the Vegas sector routes, Titan Prime's mining allocations, and the cultural exchanges of the artistic guilds." The opening hours proceeded as they always did. Charts displayed cargo paths, profits were assessed, and small quarrels were solved with composed dialogue. The Federation had mastered the harmony of cooperative trade. War was a relic of distant ages, a shadowed era when primitive peoples fought over survival rather than shared abundance. When midday came, the delegates broke into smaller circles for informal conversation. These moments fostered true bonds, where civilizations exchanged stories of heritage and culture. The ambassador soon found himself seated with Dr. Keithmos and a handful of others near the vast window overlooking the stars. "I encountered something remarkable last week," Dr. Keithmos said, while eating from a crystalline nutrient bowl. "My research team had been cataloging relics from lifeless worlds within the Soul Sector. We uncovered something peculiar." Captain Thexera leaned closer, her people drawn to mysteries tied to ancient empires. "What sort of relic?" Dr. Keithmos revealed a small, dark shard from her satchel. It resembled a piece of warped metal, yet absorbed light rather than shining. "We found scores of these scattered across 3 separate planets. The material doesn't match any known archive. It's unusually dense, yet even our most advanced scanners can't measure its makeup." Ambassador Veltar reached out to graze the fragment, but withdrew abruptly as his skin flared crimson. "It feels hostile, as if it was crafted for destruction." "That was my suspicion as well," Dr. Keithmos replied, carefully securing the fragment again. "But it should be impossible. No civilization could have created space travel while retaining savage instincts. Evolution doesn't function in such a way. Every intelligent race eventually learns that cooperation outweighs conflict." A new voice broke into their discussion. "Unless you give weight to ancient tales." They turned as Elder Morton approached, a representative of the hegemony among the oldest civilizations in the Federation. His kind lived for millennia, guardians of galactic memory. His time-worn face carried the weight of countless ages. "What tales?" Captain Thexira asked. The elder lowered himself into a chair that molded to his massive form. "Stories carried by my people for over 3,000 years. Accounts of a species dwelling in the far outer rim, in the region you now call the Soul Sector." Dr. Keithmos's eyes gleamed with interest. "You mean there may be recorded evidence of civilization there?" "My surveys hinted at it, but I believed those worlds abandoned for millions of years." "Not abandoned," Elder Morton said gravely. "Our earliest chronicles speak of a people once known as humans, unlike any other sentient race we've known." Ambassador Veltar's skin shifted into a curious yellow. "Unusual in what way?" "The legends describe them as warriors. They battled endlessly, not only with outsiders but among themselves. They wielded primitive arms that fired solid slugs rather than energy, and forged machines devoted purely to destruction. Strangely, they managed to claim the stars while still clinging to their violent ways." Captain Thexira laughed, sparks flickering from her volcanic lips. "Absurd. Violence and intellect cannot endure together at high advancement. Evolution forbids it. Any aggressive race perishes long before reaching space." "That is why they are legend," Morton answered. "The stories insist they were different. Their fury was harnessed as drive for exploration and endurance. They survived in realms that would kill any other species. Their vessels were crude, yet devastating. They waged wars spanning entire systems." Dr. Keithmos scribbled feverishly. "And what became of them? If they thrived so greatly, why are they gone?" The elder's gaze turned distant. Accounts differ. Some claim they annihilated themselves in one last catastrophic war. Others believe they vanished without trace, leaving barren worlds and strange relics such as the ones you've uncovered. "Perhaps," Dr. Keithmos whispered. "These fragments—" "Perhaps," the elder echoed. "But remember, they are stories, myths passed down through generations. There is no evidence. Modern evolutionary science shows intelligence and brutality cannot coexist at advanced levels." Ambassador Veltar gave a slow nod. "The elder speaks truth, fascinating lore, yet nothing more. Peaceful unity is the only true road to the stars. 6 centuries of harmony have proven our progress beyond such primal urges." As the council reconvened, Dr. Keithmos presented her official report on the Soul Sector findings. She projected holograms of the dark fragments and detailed her team's analyses. The objects resisted classification, composed of substances that defied known science. "What is your proposal for further inquiry?" Admiral Zexathera asked. Dr. Keithmos paused, Morton's words lingering in her thoughts. "I believe these artifacts deserve comprehensive investigation. They may belong to an unrecorded civilization unlike any we've encountered." Representatives exchanged doubtful glances. The Federation had mapped the galaxy for over 1,000 years. The discovery of an advanced culture previously unknown seemed far-fetched. "How much support are you seeking?" inquired the treasurer of the banking guilds. "At minimum, 50 survey ships and 200 dedicated specialists," Keithmos answered. A hush fell over the chamber. Such a request was immense, especially for what seemed the remnants of a long-dead primitive race. Admiral Zexathera surveyed the table, all in favor of classifying the artifacts as pre-spaceflight curiosities and approving only standard minimal funding for cataloging. 8 hands rose at once. 3 more joined after hesitation. Only Dr. Keithmos withheld her vote. "The motion passes," Admiral Zexathera declared. "Dr. Keithmos will receive standard resources for cataloging and storage of the relics, but nothing beyond that," Admiral Zexathera announced. Dr. Keithmos felt the sting of disappointment. though not shock. The Federation had become complacent in its peace and wealth. The idea that true enigmas remained unsolved, or that the stars might still hide threats from a harsher age, didn't align with their structured worldview. As the session ended and the delegates dispersed, Elder Morton quietly approached her. "You believe there is truth in the legends, don't you?" he asked softly. She glanced about to ensure no one was listening. "I do. These artifacts feel deliberate, not random fragments. They suggest advanced engineering. And the material itself, it's unlike anything ever documented." The elder inclined his head. "My people hold other tales, ones rarely spoken. Some say the humans did not vanish. Some say they endure, hidden in the vast dark between the stars, that they adapted, surviving where no other species could." He hesitated, his weathered features uncertain. "But perhaps these are only fables. Perhaps my imagination runs away from me." Dr. Keithmus gathered her notes and instruments. "Maybe. But I'll keep studying them regardless, even with meager support. Something tells me they're more significant than the Council understands." As Kepler's Rest transitioned into its night cycle, most envoys retired to their quarters. The station's calibrated atmosphere and variable gravity made it a wonder of cooperative science, an enduring sign that 12 species could coexist in comfort. But in her secluded laboratory, Dr. Keithmos remained at work. Scan after scan probed the strange fragments, seeking meaning. The metal seemed to alter itself when unobserved, molecules shifting as if in defiance of natural law. Readings contradicted each other, as though the material occupied multiple states at once. While she labored, Morton's words echoed in her mind. Perhaps the legends carried truths the Federation chose not to see. The galaxy was vast, filled with unexplored voids and hidden reaches where anything could wait unseen. She entered a private note in her log. Recommend expanded survey of the outer rim, particularly bordering the Sol sector. Artifacts suggest intelligent origin. If the makers remain, discovery is vital. Yet even as she wrote, Keithmos had no grasp of how prophetic her words were. Beyond the Federation's quiet borders, in the endless black ancient eyes had watched for centuries, and now they grew weary of waiting. 3 months passed since the Council at Kepler's Rest. In that time, Dr. Keithmos pressed forward with her limited grant, continuing analysis of the enigmatic relics. Her small team had documented more than 300 similar shards scattered across the Sol sector, each piece as baffling as the last. The strange alloy revealed nothing, and research had reached a standstill. Then everything shifted one quiet Tuesday morning when alarms thundered across Federation space. The Proxima Centauri B mining colony had gone dark. Admiral Zexa Thera stood within the command hub of the Federation's primary defense station, eyes fixed on the vast holographic star map. A crimson alert pulsed where Proxima's steady transmissions should have been. That settlement housed nearly 12,000 miners from 6 species, united in harvesting rare elements from the planet's crust. When was contact lost? She asked sharply. 14 hours ago, replied Lieutenant Vexar, a young Zapharan whose skin flickered with anxious orange. Their last message was a routine production update. Nothing unusual. Zexa Thera's expression hardened. Mining colonies carried redundant comms and failsafes. For everything to fall silent at once was near impossible. And the distress beacon? That's the troubling part, Vexar said, drawing up audio logs. The beacon activated 13 hours ago, but cut off mid-transmission. The Admiral listened. Static drowned most of it, but within the haze came frantic shouts, then sounds that twisted her insides, metallic pounding unlike any tool she recognized. A panicked voice cried of ships in the sky. The message ended with a shriek of rending steel. "Send orders to Captain Morton," Zexathera commanded. "His fleet is to proceed to Proxima at once." Captain Morton, Elder Morton's youngest son, was still considered young among the hegemony at barely 3 centuries of age. Yet he captained the Federation's swiftest investigative vessel, renowned for unraveling mysteries that stymied others. His diverse crew of specialists was trained for the extraordinary. The journey demanded 18 hours at maximum drive. During the voyage, Morton combed through all existing records of the colony. Founded 50 years ago, it had served as a cooperative mining base. The planet itself was hostile but survivable with proper suits. Its colonists lived in domes joined by sealed tunnels. "Science officer report," Morton called. A crystalline being, Zexcala, shimmered into view. "We are nearing the colony. No life signs detected." Morton stepped to the main display. Proxima B appeared ordinary from orbit, a rugged, red-hued sphere, its domes stark white against the rocky surface. But something gnawed at him. His instincts, honed through centuries, screamed of danger. "Set course for the primary landing pad," he ordered. The vessel pierced the thin atmosphere, revealing the colony in stark detail. Morton had toured many mining sites and knew what bustle to expect. Cargo freighters hauling minerals, workers moving along tunnels, equipment humming with industry. But here, the constant movement expected of a thriving colony, instead, only silence awaited them. The landing platform lay deserted, marred by scorched patterns unlike anything Morton had encountered. They weren't plasma burns nor the signature of fusion drives. These marks looked as though metal itself had been seared by unimaginable heat, twisting into patterns that almost hurt to behold. "These burns," said Zexcala as they prepared to enter the settlement, "match no propulsion." System recorded in Federation archives. The team disembarked, stepping carefully across the scarred platform. Ahead loomed the colony's primary dome, a vast bubble of reinforced glass. Through it they glimpsed structures and machinery, but no trace of activity. The airlock cycled, open without resistance, functioning flawlessly. That was the first anomaly. In the case of attack, the entry systems should have been destroyed. Yet here, everything worked perfectly. Inside, they found the second anomaly. The colony hadn't been wrecked. It had been dismantled. "Over here," called Dr. Ithmos, the mission's archaeological expert and younger brother to Dr. Keithmos. He stood at what had once been the mining control hub. This equipment wasn't destroyed. It was disassembled with surgical care, piece by piece carried away. Morton studied the bare mounts where industrial lasers once stood. The brackets remained intact, but the weapons were gone. Whoever had done this understood the machinery intimately, removing it with precision while avoiding unnecessary damage. "And the colonists?" he asked grimly. The team combed through every sector of the dome. They discovered living quarters abandoned, beds unmade, belongings scattered as though people had fled in haste. In the cafeteria, plates of food sat spoiled, untouched for days. Children's toys, personal trinkets, and family hollows lay scattered, yet not a single body remained. 12,000 souls had vanished. "Captain," Zexcala's voice came from the comms center. "You need to see this." Morton joined his officer at the colony's primary terminal. The records were intact. Most logs contained the usual reports: production, totals, system checks. But the final entry was unlike the rest. It was written in a language the universal translator failed to process. The system rendered it into galactic standard, Zexcala explained. But the file's metadata shows the original script was something called Terran Standard. A chill rippled through Captain Morton. His father's stories of the humans stirred in his mind. "What does it say?" he demanded. According to the translation, the message read, "The investigation team remained 3 more days scouring every corner of the colony. Each search revealed further signs of systematic dismantling, food reserves emptied, medical kits stripped away, even the backup power cells extracted cleanly from their housings. Most chilling were the messages. Words had been scorched into walls with a heat so precise it bordered on artistry. All in the same foreign tongue, each translated to stark phrases: "Time has ended. The debt is called. We remember." On the final day, Dr. Ithmos uncovered the most disturbing clue. Beneath the central administrative complex, he unearthed shards of the same enigmatic alloy his sister studied, but these were different. They gleamed with freshness, as though abandoned only recently. "These fragments," Ithmos told Captain Morton, "match the Sol sector artifacts, but they aren't ancient. My scans date them to only weeks ago." Morton wasted no time, transmitting a full report to Admiral Zexathera. The implications were staggering. Some force-wielding advanced technology had seized a Federation colony, abducted 12,000 beings without spilling blood, and left evidence linking them directly to the mysterious Sol relics. When the fleet returned, emergency councils convened across every major world. Holographic chambers connected representatives from all 12 species. "This cannot be reality," Ambassador Veltar protested, his skin flaring frantic yellow and orange. 6 centuries of peace. We have evolved beyond violence." Admiral Zexathera shared the findings with grim clarity. "Evidence shows a civilization with formidable technology. They infiltrated a fortified colony, removed its population, stripped its resources, and vanished without detection." Dr. Keithmos, present as the Federation's authority on Sol artifacts, felt dread coiling inside her. "The shards, my brother, recovered are identical to my samples. If these are newly forged, then someone is actively employing this technology now." From his distant homeworld, Elder Morton's image shimmered into the council chamber. "I searched our oldest archives for traces of the human legends. Most are lost, but I uncovered fragments referencing something called Protocol 7. Admiral Zexathera leaned forward. "What is Protocol 7? "From what remains," Morton said gravely, "it was a doctrine of human warfare. It described full civilian evacuations of contested worlds, populations and resources removed entirely, leaving only messages behind for their enemies." Captain Thexera's molten features glowed hotter, betraying unease. "You mean, suggesting that the ones who seized our colonists are the mythical humans? Impossible. Those tales are millennia old. Perhaps the myths were wrong about one thing," Elder Morton answered softly. "Perhaps humanity never vanished. Perhaps they chose to hide." The council dragged on for hours as leaders struggled to comprehend the revelation. If an unidentified species was moving freely in Federation territory, it was the gravest danger to galactic peace in centuries. Their societies had long abandoned militarization. No standing fleets, no hardened defenses, because there had been no need. Admiral Zexathera was assigned to expand patrols across the outer rim. Captain Morton would lead larger investigative expeditions to track the mysterious abductors. Dr. Keithmos received authorization to expand her research into Sol artifacts with limitless resources. Yet as the meeting adjourned and delegates returned to their homeworlds, none recognized how futile these measures would be. The strike on Proxima Centauri b had never been random. It was not piracy, it was a test, an assessment of Federation, defenses and reaction times. Out in the void, ancient observers examined their findings. The Federation had grown complacent. Their armies were token forces, their colonies fragile. Worst of all, their people had forgotten that the deadliest foes are not unknown, but old adversaries who never ceased to prepare for war. The trial was finished. Now the true campaign could begin. That night, Dr. Keithmos worked in her expanded laboratory, poring over the fresh alloy fragments with instruments she had once only imagined. At last, the Federation valued her work, though she wished it were under better circumstances. As she probed the strange material's atomic lattice, her blood froze. The metal was not merely advanced, it adapted. Its structure shifted depending on which sensors observed it, designed specifically to deceive anyone who tried to analyze it. In her log, she wrote the warning, "Recommend immediate defensive readiness across all Federation sectors. If this material represents active technology, we may face a threat unlike any in our history." Outside her viewport, the stars glimmered unchanged. Yet Keithmos knew the truth. Something out there was watching. Patient, intelligent, merciless. 6 months after Proxima's colonists vanished, the galaxy was unrecognizable. Admiral Zexathera stood before the Federation's emergency command. Hollow, crimson alerts spreading like infection across the star map. 17 colonies had gone silent. Every attack followed the same dreadful pattern. Ships appeared without warning, populations vanished, infrastructure harvested, cryptic messages burned into walls, and shards of impossible alloy scattered like calling cards. "Bring me the latest report," the Admiral demanded. Lieutenant Vexar's skin was gray, stripped of its natural colors by exhaustion. "The Kepler 442 mining station fell 3 days ago. Captain Morton's team found the same. Signs, no bodies, stripped equipment, alien messages." The Admiral studied the tactical overlays. The strikes were calculated. They carved into vital trade arteries, creating gaps in territorial defenses. This was no chaos. It was strategy, crafted by an enemy that understood them. Any progress? With countermeasures? None, Admiral. We've tripled Outer Rim patrols, stationed fleets at every major colony. Our sensors detect nothing before each attack. The enemy comes and vanishes like phantoms. It was the Federation's torment. Their arrays could identify a lone vessel across light years, yet these raiders slipped in and out as if existing, beyond known space. Dr. Keithmos entered, eyes hollow, tattoos dulled. She carried a data slate brimming with new analysis. "Admiral, my team made a breakthrough on the alloy." "What is it?" The scientist activated a holographic projection of the bizarre structure. "This material violates known physics. It exists in multiple quantum states simultaneously, explaining the conflicting scans. But there's more. It isn't just alloy. It's programmable matter." A chill rippled through the Admiral. Programmable matter is theoretical. No race has ever mastered it. "That's precisely what's terrifying," Keithmos said. "These fragments alter themselves at will, diamond hard or silk soft, conductor or insulator, and each shard communicates with the others across vast distances. It isn't just material, it's a network." The implications were staggering. Whoever wielded it stood centuries beyond Federation science. Then Captain Morton's voice cut through the comms from his survey vessel. "Admiral, urgent development in the Vega system. Our deep-range sensors show massive gravitational anomalies." The Admiral's pulse tightened. "Define anomalies." "Unknown, Admiral, but they're vast, and they're moving toward Federation. Space." The weight of command pressed heavy on Zexathera's silvered form. For 6 centuries, her role had been ceremonial. Now, the true storm was arriving. The defense fleet had always been more symbolic than functional, existing mainly to rescue stranded freighters and settle minor disputes between member species. Now, for the first time in recorded galactic history, it faced a genuine military crisis. "Captain Morton," Admiral Zexathera commanded, her voice steady despite the weight pressing down on her. "Take your swiftest vessel and investigate the anomalies in the Vega system. Maintain long-range observation and retreat at the first sign of hostiles." "Understood, Admiral," Morton replied, his ship already pivoting into jump formation. As his vessel cut across the stars, unrest spread like wildfire throughout the Federation. Trade lanes, once considered safer than homeworld orbits, were being deserted. Affluent colonies began contracting private security fleets, while some frontier settlements abandoned their worlds entirely, unwilling to risk becoming the next silent colony. The crystalline hierarchs, famed across the galaxy for unmatched sensor networks, deployed their most advanced detection arrays in the outer reaches. Their shimmering lattice technology could perceive energy traces across multiple dimensions, exposing threats beyond normal sensor limits, which was why the destruction of 3 crystalline stations in a single night stunned the entire Federation. The attacks came so suddenly that only fragmented distress calls were transmitted before silence consumed them. One moment the stations monitored calm space, the next, they were annihilated. When investigation teams arrived, they found little more than drifting wreckage, and the now familiar cryptic inscriptions scorched into the ruins. Elder Morton convened another emergency session of the council. Though frail in body, his wisdom had become indispensable, his deep knowledge of half-forgotten myths suddenly invaluable. "I have searched the oldest archives," he told the gathered leaders, his voice heavy. "The legends of humans contain more detail than I revealed before. Their entire military philosophy revolved around something called asymmetric warfare." Ambassador Veltar's skin flickered with confused yellow tones. "And what exactly does that mean?" "It means they never fought fairly," Morton explained grimly. "While other civilizations bound themselves with honor codes and ritualized combat, humans perfected tactics that targeted weaknesses, stealth, deception, psychological pressure. They won by breaking expectations." Captain Thexara's molten features rippled with unease. "Then these attackers are not only more advanced in technology, but also more dangerous in strategy." "The evidence aligns with that conclusion," Morton said. "Look at their pattern. They don't seize territory, nor do they confront our fleets directly. Instead, they dismantle confidence, slice through trade arteries, and shatter trust. This is the human tactic of death by 1,000 cuts." Up to now, Dr. Keithmos had remained silent, but she rose with trembling hands clutching a datapad. "I've discovered something new about the metal fragments," she announced. "They are not just material, they hold information. My team has managed to decode portions of it." "What kind of information?" the Admiral pressed. "Star charts, extensive tactical maps of Federation space stretching back centuries, assessments of our defense systems, and worse, sophisticated behavioral profiles of every single species in our alliance." The chamber froze in silence as the implication struck. Someone had studied them across generations, cataloging strengths and vulnerabilities with terrifying precision. "How long have they been watching?" Admiral Zexeth Thera finally asked. Dr. Keithmos's voice was barely audible. "Based on encoded timestamps, at least 4 centuries. They began observing before most of our colonies even existed." Elder Morton lowered his head. "The legends warned of this. Humans were not merely soldiers, they were strategists. They wove campaigns across lifetimes, preparing for decades before striking." Suddenly, static-laced transmission cut through the chamber's comm systems, Captain Morton's voice faint and distant. "Admiral, can you hear me? This is incredible. They're here." "Captain, repeat your transmission," Zexeth Thera barked. "Near Vega system, anomalies aren't natural, they're ships, massive ships, moving toward Federation space." His words sharpened into clarity. "Admiral, I'm transmitting visuals now." The council chamber's central hollow bloomed to life. At first, only star-speckled void shimmered. Then, as Morton's altered, scanners adjusted, shapes materialized, hundreds, perhaps thousands of vessels sliding out of darkness. These were no Federation designs. Predatory and angular, their hulls seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it. They moved with unnatural coordination, like a single metallic organism gliding through the void. Worst of all, they were invisible to conventional sensors. Only Morton's modifications, inspired by Dr. Keithmos's research, made them visible. "Size estimate?" Zexeth Thera whispered. The largest are over 3 kilometers, Morton replied, his voice tight. But that isn't the most alarming part. Their energy readings indicate a singular purpose. And that purpose? War, Admiral. Pure war. These are not explorers, not freighters. They are warships, through and through, and they are heading directly toward Federation space. The chamber erupted into chaos, panicked voices overlapping, shattering the illusion of peace that had lasted for 6 centuries. The Federation's defense vessels were never built for war, only to rescue civilians and mediate disputes. Now they faced a fleet forged by a species that had mastered battle beyond anything in recorded history. "Captain Morton, return at once," Admiral Zexther commanded. "All forces are to regroup around our core worlds." "Admiral, there's more. I'm receiving a transmission across every channel. Unknown language. Computers are translating now." Every screen in the council chamber displayed the message. It was short, merciless, and absolute. "You have 30 cycles to withdraw from the Outer Rim. This is your only warning. The Age of Legends has ended. We are coming home." As the words echoed across every network, Elder Morin leaned back with sorrow, carved across his features. The legends were no myth. Humanity had not vanished or destroyed itself. They had waited in the silent void, gathering strength, preparing for this moment. "Admiral," he said softly, "I fear we are about to learn why some species chose violence over peace, and I doubt our enlightened galaxy is ready for what's coming." The countdown began. Somewhere in the dark beyond Federation borders, an ancient power was returning to reclaim what it believed was its rightful place. And the peaceful civilizations that had flourished in their absence were about to learn a cruel truth. Evolution does not always favor the gentle. The Federation's high command had been meeting for 12 relentless hours. Admiral Zayathara scanned the chamber, seeing only fear, exhaustion, and uncertainty. None of them had ever prepared for a true war. Their languages barely held words for it. "We must project strength," declared Admiral Kexther of the Molten Defense Force, her rocky form glowing with resolve. "Deploy 1,000 ships in formation. Let them see we will not yield." Others agreed instantly. It was the civilized instinct. Answer force with superior force, negotiate from power. But Dr. Keithmos, buried in fragments of enemy data, had uncovered truths that chilled her blood. "Admirals, I urge restraint. These enemies do not fight as we do." "Doctor, this is military business," Admiral Kexatha cut in. "You study ruins, not war." "Exactly why you should listen," Keithmos countered, bringing up her holographic charts. "Look at these patterns. They never attacked our strongest positions. They probed colonies, tested response times, measured defenses. Every strike was reconnaissance. They've been learning about our ships, our weapons, even our minds." Admiral Zayathara studied the graphs, unease hardening her voice. "So, this is more than simple raids?" "They've been conditioning us," Keithmos said. "Every attack refined their knowledge. They know precisely how long it takes us to respond, what we can deploy, and most dangerously, they know we are not ready for true violence." Elder Morton entered, bearing a glowing crystal, decoded fragments of humanity's forgotten doctrines. His voice carried the weight of centuries. "I've found something vital. They called it total war." "What does that mean?" "Admiral," Zayathara asked. Holograms bloomed with ancient words. Morton's voice grew grave. Humans did not limit themselves to armies. They struck at supply chains, communication, infrastructure, anything that sustained resistance. Gasps echoed. The thought of deliberately targeting civilians was an abomination to species that had long outgrown bloodshed. "That is barbaric," Admiral Sexathera spat. "No civilized species would ever target the innocent." "That," Morton said, with sorrow, "is what made them so dangerous. They never became civilized as we define it. They advanced while keeping their capacity for brutality intact. For them, war was not governed by honor. It was a problem to be solved, by any means, necessary. Dr. Keithmas linked her modern data with the ancient records. It explains their movements. They are not seeking to conquer our fleets. They weren't trying to defeat our military in open combat. They were systematically dismantling the very structure that allowed us to exist as a civilization. She displayed the galactic map with the destroyed colonies marked in red. See, these locations? They've severed communication relays, disrupted trade lanes, and created fractures in our logistical web. Outer Rim worlds are already reporting shortages. They're starving us into weakness while studying how we respond. A new voice broke in as Captain Morin returned from his reconnaissance mission in the Vega system. His usual confidence was gone, replaced by a barely contained fear. Admirals, I finished analyzing the incoming fleet. The truth is worse than we expected. He transmitted the sensor logs to the command center's display. The council fell into silence as images of the human armada appeared, jagged predatory ships built for war. How many? Admiral Zexathera asked. Over 3,000 confirmed, with more arriving constantly. But that isn't the worst of it. I approached close enough to study their technology. Moron hesitated, struggling to articulate what he had seen. Their hulls aren't just shielded with programmable matter. They are programmable matter. Dr. Keithmas felt her hearts falter. You mean their ships can adapt? Yes. I witnessed a cruiser alter itself mid-flight. It shifted from a sleek exploration frame to a heavily armored warship in less than 30 seconds. They can likely reconfigure for any threat. The implications struck like a hammer. Federation strategy depended on predicting enemy capabilities and designing countermeasures. But how could they fight vessels that could change their nature at will? And there's more, Captain Morin continued grimly. The larger ships contain vast internal chambers. These aren't only warships. They're mobile civilizations. They've lived in the void itself for centuries, maybe longer. Elder Morin nodded with solemn certainty. The legend spoke of this. Humans alone were said to thrive in the starless dark. Where others needed planets, they needed only the void. Admiral Zeathara finally grasped the enormity. So they're not just raiders from a hidden homeworld. They're an entire society forged in deep space, centuries of preparation, all for this. Dr. Keithmas added quietly. While we were enjoying peace, they were perfecting their weapons, sharpening their doctrines. The 28th cycle deadline loomed. Outer Rim colonies fell into panic. Some fled before official orders, others hired mercenaries, though none had true experience in warfare. Then Dr. Keithmas uncovered something that froze her blood. Buried in the data fragments from shattered colonies was a reference to Protocol 7. It's their evacuation system, she explained to the council. Humans don't simply destroy, they relocate. The 12,000 missing from Proxima Centauri b, the miners from Kepler 442, they're alive. Where? Admiral Zexa demanded. Most likely aboard those colossal ships. They're collecting our people deliberately. Elder Morin searched his restored archives. Yes, the records mention strategic population redistribution. They moved civilians out of combat zones, both to protect them and to deny their enemies leverage. You mean they're saving our people? Admiral Kexthera asked, baffled. In their own way, yes. But it's also tactical. By evacuating populations before striking infrastructure, they prevent us from exploiting civilian deaths in negotiations. The council reeled. How did one fight an enemy that abducted civilians not to harm them, but to shield them? A foe both more brutal and more restrained than anything they understood. Then Captain Morin received a priority alert. Admiral, the human fleet is shifting formation and accelerating. They'll reach our borders in 6 cycles. 6 cycles, less than a week until the most formidable force in galactic memory arrived. Admiral Zexthera made the hardest call of her life. Transmit to all Federation worlds. Begin immediate evacuation of the Outer Rim. Civilians must be moved to the core within 4 cycles. Admiral Kexatha protested. If we retreat, we lose 40% of our territory without resistance. If we don't, Zexthera answered coldly, we lose 40% of our people. Dr. Keithmas is right. These humans fight in ways we cannot. As evacuation orders rippled across the stars, Dr. Keithmas bent once more over the ancient records. The deeper she delved into humanity's doctrines, the more terrifyingly clear it became. This was not just war. This was something far more absolute, philosophy. The more she realized how utterly unprepared the galaxy was for their return. Humans never waged wars for territory or resources. Their wars had always been about resolution, about eliminating problems at the root. And right now, the peaceful Federation occupying their former dominion was, in their eyes, a problem demanding correction. Elder Morton, she asked quietly, do the legends reveal what the humans truly seek? Why they're doing this? The Ancient One paused, consulting memory cores steeped in millennia of wisdom. The oldest stories say humans believed in something they called natural selection. They held that only the strong had the right to endure, and that conflict itself was the universe's natural law. So, they attack us because we are weak? No, Doctor. They strike because we have forgotten strength. The records suggest humans respected enemies who proved their worth, but they scorned civilizations that embraced peace by casting aside survival instinct. A chill of realization swept over Dr. Keithmas. They weren't here to conquer. Perhaps they came to teach, or perhaps to erase what they considered a failed experiment in galactic society. As the 6th cycle dawned and human warships breached Federation borders, the galaxy braced for its first true war in 6 centuries. Yet none of the peaceborn species truly grasped the storm they faced. Humanity was returning, not as wanderers, but as predators, intent on reminding the stars why some civilizations remain dangerous. The human fleet erupted from hyperspace at the Federation's edge, like a storm materializing from the void. On her flagship's bridge, Admiral Zexthera watched in silent dread as thousands of vessels painted her sensors, angular, predatory silhouettes that seemed to devour light itself. She commanded the largest fleet the Federation had ever assembled. Over 800 ships from 12 species, every advanced civilization united. It should have been awe-inspiring, yet compared to the advancing human armada, it felt like a child's game. The human ships maneuvered with terrifying precision, formations no tactical computer could predict or match. Most unnerving, they studied. The Federation fleet with the detached curiosity of scientists examining microbes under glass. "Transmission incoming, all frequencies," reported the crystalline communications officer. Their usual glow dulled to a faint shimmer. "Put it through," Zexthera ordered. The screen lit with the image of a human woman, middle-aged by their standards, short gray hair, eyes sharp with the weight of too many wars. Her uniform was plain, functional, authority forged in utility, not pomp. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Colonial Fleet," she declared in flawless galactic standard. "You ignored our warning to vacate the Outer Rim. We are here to enforce it." Zexthera stepped forward, summoning confidence she didn't feel. "I am Admiral Zexthera of the Federation Combined Fleet. Those territories you claim belong to peaceful civilizations who have thrived there for centuries. We will not surrender them to unknown aggressors." Chen's expression held, steady though her eyes hardened. "Unknown aggressors? How quickly the galaxy forgets! These territories were human long before your Federation existed. We are not invaders. We are returning." The human race vanished more than 3,000 years ago, Zexathera retorted. Any ancestral claims are meaningless now. Vanished? Chen almost smiled, though it carried no humor. We didn't vanish. We chose exile. When the galaxy decided peace mattered more than strength, that harmony outweighed competition. We refused. We walked away. Dr. Keithmos, monitoring from the Federation's command chamber, felt the final pieces fall into place. Humanity hadn't perished, nor evolved beyond recognition. They had been given a choice: submit to the galaxy's utopia or remain who they were. They had chosen exile and waited. Chen spoke with calm certainty. We've seen what you've built, a galaxy of sheep, species so terrified of conflict that you've stripped away your own instinct to survive. In the name of peace, you've trained yourselves to be prey. Admiral, Zexathara's jaw tightened. We've created harmony. War, famine, and suffering are extinct across known space. Ours is a civilization built on cooperation and prosperity. You've erased hardship, growth, and resilience, Chen countered sharply. You've made a galaxy where comfort is worshipped, where no one remembers what real danger feels like. Tell me, Admiral, when was the last time any of your people endured true adversity? The silence between the fleets was heavier than weapons fire. Zexathera realized she could not summon an answer. For generations, the Federation had thrived in security so absolute that no species had faced genuine trial. We do not require adversity to flourish, she insisted at last. Don't you? Chen asked softly. She raised her hand, and the view screen shifted. Footage of recent colony seizures played before them. Chaos, panic, civilians fleeing helplessly. 17 of your colonies fell to us. Not a single ship lost. Your citizens scattered like frightened animals. Is that the civilization you boast of? A Federation captain, listening from his vessel, felt dawning clarity. Humanity wasn't only a military adversary. They were a philosophical contradiction to everything the Federation had become. What is it you seek? Zexathera demanded. Our space, Chen answered without hesitation. The outer rim from here to the galactic edge. Every world that was once human. We've already relocated the current inhabitants safely. Unlike you, we do not slaughter innocents, but we will not allow the weak to hold what requires strength. Fury burned in Zexathera. You call us weak, yet you abandon the chance to evolve beyond bloodshed. Chen's lips curved in a cold smile. Evolved? You mistake surrender for progress. We've endured 3 centuries drifting in voids that would kill your kind in minutes. We've tempered ourselves while you dulled your edge. Tell me, Admiral, which of us truly advanced? The battle began without warning. No declarations, no delays. Human ships opened fire the instant Chen finished speaking. But the Federation's defenses, shields crafted to repel energy beams, were worthless. Humanity wielded kinetic weapons, dense projectiles flung at impossible speed, armor shattered, hulls ruptured. 3 cruisers died in the opening salvo. Return fire! Zexathera barked, but their beams splashed uselessly against adaptive human hulls. Matter itself shifted in response, drinking in energy like a black ocean. Captain Morton realized this was no battle the records had prepared them for. The Federation fought as if in a ritual duel, measured, predictable, seeking to disable, not destroy. Humanity fought as predators, cutting supply lines, crushing communications, striking like an organism bent on survival. They're not only engaging our fleet, Morton reported. They're severing everything that sustains us. Civilized. Va versus totalva. The difference was staggering. 2 hours into the slaughter, Zexathera faced the bitter truth. Her proud armada was unraveling under the precision of an enemy forged by endless struggle. Admiral, her officer warned grimly, we're losing. Ships faster than repair crews can respond. At this pace, the fleet will collapse in 6 hours. Her decision was agony. Signal retreat. Withdraw to the core. This is not surrender. It's strategic. But Chen had already anticipated the move. As Federation ships broke formation, human vessels emerged behind them, escape paths sealed. They were trapped. Chen's voice filled every comm. Federation forces, power down and prepare for boarding. Any attempt to flee will result in your vessel's disablement. Your crews will be transferred safely. On her bridge, Zexathara saw only defeat. The most powerful fleet in galactic history had fallen in 3 hours to a species the galaxy had forgotten. "Admiral," her comms officer whispered. "Chen requests private dialogue." The screen shifted. Chen appeared in her ready room, expression softened, tinged perhaps with sympathy. "You fought with courage," Chen said evenly, "but courage without understanding is wasted." "What happens now?" Zexathara asked. "Now you learn. The rim returns to us, but your Federation may endure. Trade, prosper, keep your peace, under our protection. There are far worse predators in this galaxy than us. You've never seen them. We've kept them at bay while you dreamed in comfort." Dr. Keith Mose, listening from afar, felt the last puzzle piece click. Humanity had not only survived in exile, they had stood as silent wardens, holding horrors at bay. "What price do you demand?" Zexathara asked. Chen's tone was simple. "Stop forcing weakness upon the strong. Let civilizations grow as they will. Some are warriors by nature, that is no defect." She rose, ending the call. "The galaxy is wide enough for many paths. Choose wisely, Admiral." The channel closed, leaving Zexathara adrift in the ruins of her old certainties. 6 months later, Dr. Keith Mose worked within a new laboratory stationed at humanity's border. Now she was ambassador, bridging Federation and Terran fleets. The compromise was uneasy but functional. Core worlds remained peaceful. The rim was human territory and shield. And the galaxy had learned peace was not weakness. It was the will. To remain strong but not wield strength carelessly. The maps were redrawn. New zones labeled Human Protectorate. Keith Mose wondered what other forgotten truths lurked in uncharted space. The galaxy was older, darker, stranger than the Federation had ever guessed. Outside her window, human patrol craft glided in silence. Guardians, legends returned. And in the farthest void, something older stirred. Ancient threats waking in answer to humanity's homecoming.